Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So before I get started on this whole, cause this episode was, just a quick little update. Mondays is gonna be a little bit later than usual as far as my videos coming out. Because work, I get out of work a lot later. I'm still gonna put them out, but it's just gonna be around like probably come out around like 9:30, 10 the latest. So yeah, I apologize for that. It's just the schedule and everything like that with work has been pretty hectic. So, yeah, but throughout the rest of the week, Monday, Tuesday through Friday, um, business as usual. Normal time as usual. So, let's just kind of get into it. So Molly is still feeling guilty because of what she did with Brando, and you have Sam that's not there saying tell the truth, and you have Christina that's not there saying lie. And so Molly is like weighing her options. She doesn't know if she tell the truth, should she not tell the truth or whatever. And then Alexis comes in. Or their mothers. So now you got Christina, you have Sam, and you have Molly in the room, and her mother comes in, Alexis. So she's like, what is going on? Because they're like, they're starting to raise their voices and stuff like that. And Christina, Molly is feeling like a little bit of pressure because you have her two, they're trying to hold up to his high standards of Molly's always perfect, you never really do anything wrong, you don't worry about it, and blah blah blah, and she's still feeling guilty. So they start arguing a little bit. Next thing you know, Alexis comes in. She's like, why are y'all arguing for it? Now Christina is like, hey, listen, we're just having a friendly debate or whatever, and we want you to tell her the news. So Molly's like, listen, me and TJ has formed this domestic partnership. I'm not gonna lie, that's the stupidest fucking thing I ever heard in my life. But I'll set this down. But so Molly's explaining how, she wants to set up this whole domestic thing or whatever, and she's just happy to have TJ back and everything like that. So they talk a little bit, and Christina keeps it there laying on thick. Oh, don't worry about it, Molly, you're gonna be fine and everything's gonna work out, because Molly felt guilty and she's telling Alexis, hey, listen, I thought that he cheated on me, I thought he did this, he did that, and I feel really bad for the way I was acting. And Christina's all like, well, don't worry, because you're always perfect and stuff like that. And this is when Molly blurts out to Alexis, hey, listen, I had sex with I slept with I slept with Brando. That she explains the whole situation. At first, no, so this is what up happening. Molly gets annoyed with the way that Sam, had to sit there and try to really kind of get on Brando and stuff like that. Molly's like, listen, Brando did nothing wrong. We were two consenting adults and stuff like that. And Sam's all like, oh, well, I just don't want him taking advantage of you. I was like, what the? Okay, so what the hell is going on with Sam's character? Like, seriously, what the fuck is going on with her character? Where it's like, I understand that she's trying to protect her sisters and stuff like that, but the way that Molly explained it the first time is that they hooked up and he had no idea that she had a boyfriend. Okay, Brando has a troubled past, but so does Sam. So I don't understand why she's not there trying to get so fucking hard on him, like, oh, I don't want you taking advantage of my sister and blah 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 blah. Bitch, she never fucking took advantage of your sister in the first place. They were two consenting adults, and she told him the next day after. But yet you put all the fucking blame on him? Like, are you kidding me? Anyway, so yeah, Molly just didn't like the way that Sam was handling things. And so they started arguing, and that's when Alexis came in. So now at this point, Christina said a comment that just set Molly off as far as being perfect and a poster child for perfection. And Molly was like, listen, I slept with Brando. She told the whole story. And then they go back and forth. Oh, let me turn this down a little bit. So they go back and forth, and, Sam was like, yo, listen, I still think that you should tell TJ the truth and just see what happens. Christina's like, no, don't do it. You're going to ruin everything that you have. Just leave it be alone. And it was just a one-time thing and just move on. And Sam's like, listen, I think this is what... So Sam was like, listen, that may be how you handle it. That's maybe how you handle things, but that's not the way that Molly handles things. And Christina's like, well, what does that mean? And Sam is like, well, you hide and you deny stuff until it blows up in your face. And, Christina took issue with that. And the sad thing is that it's true. But Christina took issue with that. And she was sitting there talking about how Sam and Jason just keep sneaking around, even though it violates and it's going to jeopardize her getting thrown back in jail. It's going to jeopardize Sam getting thrown back in jail. And then Sam came out her mouth and was like, the only reason why I actually have to sit there and worry about being on parole in the first place is because I tried to get you out that cult. And Christina was like, so what, are you actually blaming this whole thing on me? And Sam was like, yes, I blame this. This is all your fault. I was like, wow. Okay. Listen, I don't know what the hell they're doing with Sam's character, but they are turning her character into dog shit. I mean, you're being all overprotective over Molly towards a guy who didn't actually do anything wrong, and then you blame your sister, your little sister Christina, for getting sucked into a cult, and saying that it's her fault that she's on parole and she can't see Jason because of her. Wow. I mean, seriously, the look on Alexis and Molly's face when she came out and said that, it was just... wow. So yeah, Sam is my new worst fucking character. Don't get me wrong, I still think that Nina isn't exactly any better, but her character's better, but her acting sucks. Let's go to Julian and Dr. Burns. So Burns, he doesn't even walk in. He storms in there. He literally puts his arm to Julian's neck and was like, "Yo, listen. So you don't like people just barging on in, just assaulting you in your place of business." So they talk a little bit or whatever. Julian pushes him off. They go back and forth, and Burns is like, "Listen, I lost everything because of you. I lost my job, my license to practice. I'm screwed because of you." Julian is like, "Well, you made your bed, now lie in it." He's like, "Listen, if you didn't actually have that affair with Alexis, you wouldn't be in the position that you're in." And to be fair, he has a point. He has a point. I mean, you can go in there, you can yell at him for getting him fired and stuff like that, for getting me fired or whatever, but at the end of the day, you still made the choices that you made. So I was like, he's not wrong. So they go back and forth or whatever, and Burns is all like, "Oh, well, you put a knife to her throat, and you terrorized her. You could sit there and come up with all the explanations that you did, but you put fear into her heart or whatever, pretty much." And to be fair, he only put a knife to her throat because he was being blackmailed, and his son was going to get killed if he didn't actually try to threaten her. So, Burns throwing that in his face is like, you don't even know the whole story, but okay, whatever. So you go back and forth or whatever, and Burns is like, you know what, listen, maybe it's just better off if I just leave her alone and just not really mess with Alexis because I've done more harm than good. And Julian's like, no. You're not just gonna sit there and just run off after everything that you did. And Burns was like, yo, listen, Alexis could lose her law license because of you. And I I have to tell you, Julian was like, yeah, that's bad, and that sucks, but y'all two just kind of. He seemed like he was only half broken up about it, which is really surprising because, to be honest, it's one thing if you screw over Dr. Burns or whatever, you don't like him, you felt like he screwed over Alexis, that's fine, but your actions also caused her to lose her, her license because you decided to blurt out her information. So, I mean, you try to save her, but you also end up doing damage on the same time. So, good job, Julian. But Julian was like, "Yo, listen, you're not gonna leave her because she done gave everything to be with you, and even though I don't like you, and I don't know why she likes you, but you make her happy, so fight for her and be with her. Period." So yeah. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to drink this before it gets cold. It's tea. So Liz and Franco are talking in the hospital room, and Franco's like, listen, what ended up happening was Franco had a whole bunch of bills or whatever just stacked up on the table. He's like, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this and pay for that, pay for this, pay for that. And Liz somehow sees an invitation that Ava sent, and Ava kind of put like a little scandalous thing about Franco and his past or whatever, and Liz got upset about it, and Franco was like, listen, my past is my past, and I'm not gonna be able to escape my past. And he was like, listen, there's a bunch of people that sent there asking me, journalists and paparazzi, whatever, that sent there asking me to do a story on my past and stuff, because of the 10 years that he tried to frame Jason for him getting pushed off the building in LA. Pretty much he wants to use his notoriety to sell his paintings because he's like, listen, I'm not really getting a lot of offers and stuff like that, but with this, me selling this scandal, I can really kind of like, do more and get more money and, help Cameron and, with his college fund. And Liz is like, listen, I don't think that that's right. I think you should let your talent speak for itself. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Partly, I felt like she was kind of getting on the high moral ground about how, you shouldn't have to sit there and, you know, she was kind of getting on the high moral ground. The fact that, she was like, listen, your talent should speak for itself. You shouldn't have to sit there and judge your past and stuff like that. And Franco was like, listen, in the real world, in a fantasy, that's great. But in the real world, scandal sells. And it will sell my paintings. And I need to do this. And, they went back and forth. And then Franco says something that I was just like, wow, bro. So, Franco was like, listen, you don't really understand how it is in the art world or whatever by trying to sell your paintings and things of that nature. And Liz was like, oh, I don't, because I'm not a fucking artist. I haven't actually sat there and tried to struggle with like selling paintings and things of that nature and all this type of other stuff. Like, I don't count as a fucking artist. And Franco was like, yeah, but the thing is, hold on one second, because I want to make sure I get this line right. Oh, okay. Franco says, you never really been a real artist. I had to get that line right because that's legit what he said. You never been a real artist. Wow. And then after he said that, Liz just had that oh no you didn't say that shit. And Franco was like, oh shit. That's not what I really meant. And he goes into this whole trying to cover it up. And he pretty much just digs himself worse into a grave. Trust me, if you ever got into an argument with someone or you ever said something and you try to cover it up and you just dig yourself into a hole, because I've done that. So trust me, I understand where his pain comes from. And yeah, so he just digged himself into a hole. Ava called out because Ava wants her painting done before they have their fancy party, whatever. And so Franco's like, all right, well, I gotta go, but we good, right? I mean, we cool? We good? And Liz is like, nah, we ain't good. I mean, she said some lines or whatever, but pretty much she was like, nah, we ain't good. And so Liz walks off. Um, Nicholas comes in, and Nicholas is like, hey, listen, I just need somebody to talk to. Do you have a minute? And Liz is kind of in her bitchy attitude right now, which I can't blame her to some extent, but she's all like, no, I don't actually have time to talk to you. And then, Nicholas is like, hey, listen, I want to be a friend. I want to help you. Tell me what's going on. Now, Franco also comes to Windermere. He's like, hey, listen, he's like, all right, I'm here for the painting. Now, Ava's sitting there crying and some tears and stuff like that. And she turns around and Franco's like, what's wrong? And Franco really, because here's the thing. Ava was meant to trying to cover up, like, nah, I'm fine. I'm just, puffy eyes or whatever. Franco's like, all right, whatever. So Franco's like, listen, I had a bad day. I need a hug. I need somebody to talk to. Just to kind of make her feel like she doesn't have to be strong. So, Ava walks up and hugs Franco and, starts crying and stuff like that. Ava's a tough woman, but I mean, she's still fucking human. Because here's the thing. Let's go back a minute. Nicholas comes in and he's yelling or whatever because Ava changed something in the gardens or whatever. Just something trivial or whatever. So they argue back and forth. And Ava's like, hey, listen, there's a letter. Letters from Spencer. And Spencer's pretty much like, listen, I'll give you a chance to be back in my life, but you have to divorce Ava because of how she screwed me over with the whole lawsuit for Valentine. So the terms are, it's pretty simple, it's kind of a no-brainer when you're a parent. You leave Ava, you divorce Ava, and you can actually have your son back in your life. So, they're talking or whatever, Ava and Nicholas talking and they're happy and stuff like that. He's like, hey, listen, so we're gonna get that divorce, right? And Ava's like, yeah, no problem, I got you. But just remember, since you won that divorce, I get 90% of your money and the islands. And they go back and forth or whatever. And here's the thing. I'm gonna actually have to kind of give donkey to both of them because while one is a bigger ass than the other, and I'm saying Nicholas because it's a no-brainer. Listen, okay, you still get 10%. Like Spencer still gets 10% of everything, of the rest of the Castle Island fortune, and you still have time with your son. So you get to have your son back in your life. You just have to trade your money. So it's money or your son. It's kind of a no-brainer. But he failed that the first time because he wanted to get back to the Castle Island heir, and he didn't really care if it meant playing dead and not being there for his son. So he chose money over his son the first time, and he seems like he's going to do that again because, yeah, he's kind of a shitty father. And I kind of give it to a little bit of Ava because Ava could have just been like, all right, listen, you know what? This is bigger than me. This is bigger than just me trying to get my due. And you clearly want to be back with your son, and I want you to be back with your son. And I understand how it is with a parent and a child relationship. So I'm not going to bother to take any money away from you. Just be with your son, and that's that. But no, Ava just has to sit there and be the fucking greedy bitch that she is. And it's just like, nope, I want your money. You can divorce me, but I want your money. So yeah, they go back and forth and they argue, and it gets to a point where Nicholas starts talking about how much of a terrible person she is, and how her daughter Kika couldn't stand her. And, then she started talking about Avery, like, oh, it's a good thing for Carly. And that's when Ava slapped the shit out of fucking Nicholas, which I gotta be honest, I was fucking all for that. You start drudging up somebody's fucking children and you start doing that shit. It's, to be honest, bro, just be lucky that she just slapped you, because she's done far worse to people in her fucking past. So yeah, that's when Franco walks in and sees her crying because, all the things that Nicholas said. So, pause for 1 second. I just want to make sure I got everything down. Okay, just a quick thing. So, Brando walked into the gym, see Jason or whatever. And, they're holding it back for each other and talking about how, Brando's talking about how he wants to stay in Port Charles. He likes it there. And, then he talks about the garage, and he talks about, he meant, he was like, listen, me and you are good or whatever, but your girlfriend doesn't like me. He gets into a whole discussion about how he made an ass out of himself. How he made an ass out of himself when he talked about Donna Day and then offended Christina. And it offended Sam, and he realized that day that Sam, was very protective of her sisters. But here's the thing, though, he talks halfway through, and he talks about how he insulted Christina, and Sam was being overprotective, and being protective and stuff like that. But what he doesn't mention is that he also hooked up with Molly. Now, here's the thing. When he's talking all about his transgressions or whatever, or just, him having a bumpy relationship with Sam and Christina and stuff like that, and how they don't really like him, he talks about this stuff, but Jason's a very smart person, so Jason's like, I feel like you're not telling me everything. Like, he just has that look like there's something that you're leaving out. Something that would just get Sam extra riled up. Now, yeah, she could be upset that you said what you said and hurt her sister's feelings, but I feel like there might be more to that. So, we'll see exactly how far he finds out about this whole affair. Between Molly and Brando. And yeah, so that's gonna pretty much kind of do it for this recap. Again, apologies that it's coming out so late, but Mondays is usually gonna be a little bit more later than throughout the rest of the week. So I appreciate you watching, and also again, if you don't really feel like waiting that late to watch my video, you can always go to Brock TV and definitely check out his channel. He does it like right after General Hospital airs. And, another very thorough guy, actually more thorough than me. So yeah, check out his channel and, swing back around on Tuesdays and, kind of flip-flop and forth, I appreciate all the views and stuff like that. And, thank you for the likes, comments, and subscribes. So, be safe, be merry, all that good stuff, and, have a good day, good night, depending on when you're watching this, and I will catch you in the next review.